Well, we are the Friends of the Poughkeepsie Public Library District. There are Friends groups for libraries around the country and around the world, thousands of them, and they all support their libraries in the way that they can.
I became involved with the Friends when I was at the Adrian's Library, and a gentleman who was very active in the organization just asked me if I wanted to join the Friends. It seemed like a reasonable investment of $10.
The vast majority of them are donated by the public. People have books and decide they don't need them. We get calls, we're emptying out our grandma's house, or we're moving, or we have too many books.
It's just amazing. I call it the ocean of books.
We got a book that was written by Einstein and appeared to be signed by Einstein, and we were able to confirm that. Usually we don't know where the donated books came from by the time they get to us, because people just drop them off. In this case, we were actually able to track down who it had come from because it was inscribed to the gentleman who was head of the Princeton University Press that had published the Einstein book. And when we located this guy from Princeton University Press, when we located his obituary, we discovered his daughter lived in Poughkeepsie. We were actually able to contact her, and she was able to tell us a story about having met Einstein when she was an eight-year-old.
Bring books, obviously, to us, but they have to be, in good condition, which is always a problem.
Sometimes books aren't good enough, so they go into the recycle bin. It's really hard to throw books out.
Sometimes we get too many books donated.
Everybody wants to get rid of their stuff, so they think of it as a dumping ground for it,
We've gotten some books that probably were in the basement too long, or in the attic, or out in the barn, or somewhere, not in the best of shape, water damage to them. We don't take encyclopedias anymore. There's not a market for that anymore. Reader's Digest condensed books, those were popular years ago. We don't take those. Outdated travel books, certain old textbooks, especially marked up, highlighted books. Sometimes in children's books, the kids got a little excited and were scribbling all over them. Those aren't going to be in very good shape.
What I do in the store is I'm in charge of certain sections of restocking them and then removing the books that aren't selling so that we put out the books that are.
My role is to be the cashier or the counter, when the people purchase their books.
I volunteer here doing work on what we call the special books, which are ones that are priced differently than the standard books in the store.
I'm the volunteer coordinator. I'm the one who bangs the drums and gets these folks to come in and dedicate their time and efforts to this wonderful endeavor.
Gail runs this so beautifully. She trains you, and then you eventually, on your own, find your way to the books that you love and are the most addicted to. And I do all the children's books. It's wonderful to see the little kids running around grabbing books and very excited.
One of my favorite things is when parents bring their little kids in and they get over there to the children's books shelves, and they're just pulling books out and they're looking and they'll grab onto them. There's a couple of little kids who won't let go, so the parents end up having to buy those books.
The sections I'm in charge of are true crime, which would include like serial killers and crimes that we've had. I'm in charge of law. I'm also in charge of politics, and of course everyone's writing a book about politics these days, so there's a lot of movement there. I'm in charge of large print. I'm also in charge of travel.
We are all volunteers. I sometimes think customers don't realize that. We are an all-volunteer organization, but it is a wonderful way to support the community, to reach out to the community, wonderful customers who come in, and the opportunity to look at all the books that come in.
No real compensation, it's all just volunteer. We just have a love for the library,
and we want to help it so our library will continue to be as great as it is.
I love all of it. I love the activity. When I get here, I sort through the books that have been given to us, and then I put them on the shelves. And I got to design, my favorite thing is that I get to design my whole section. You can go in and find books on dinosaurs, or on princesses, or on monsters.
We try to make this a very pleasant experience. We want people to want to be here, and I can say that everyone does. We'd love to hear from anybody who loves books, loves hanging out with people who love books, and wants to get involved with our operation. So my suggestion is come down to the bookstore, spend some time, see exactly how well run this place is.
Sometimes it's a little tough to get some volunteers.
You can work as little as you want here. You can work 2 hours a week if you want. You can work every day if you want. I would urge more people to come and volunteer because we could use more volunteers.
I think the only thing in my past that really qualified for me for this was loving books, like every other volunteer does, and I like hanging out with people who love books as well. Right? I'll point out that as wonderful as having the books here is, nothing happens until a volunteer gets involved. We had a volunteer, older woman, who was going through our stacks at one of our giant sales and was setting things up. And she looked at a book and realized it was one of her childhood favorites. So she takes the book out and is thumbing through it. And it wasn't just one of her childhood favorites, it was her childhood book that somehow had been gifted to somebody else and gifted to somebody else and finally donated to us. And she could tell from the inscriptions in it that it had been hers. That's a magical moment.
We like the public to be aware of us. We think everybody knows about us. But on a regular basis, people come in here and go, "This is my first time here."
We have a lot of people out there that are still unaware of the fact that we have this bookstore.
Oh, I just want to emphasize what an amazing community resource this is and urge all people to use it. I mean, you know, our reference books alone are fantastic. I just hope more people know about it and come and appreciate us.